Is the window closing on the San Francisco 49ers? What's going on, football fans? It's Mitch back with another NFL reaction video. And in this video, another clip from Colt McCoy, the Clean Pocket YouTube channel, featuring the man, the myth, the walking W, Jay Gruden himself. We had a lot of fun with the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs clip. So I felt like reacting to another. This one is on the San Francisco 49ers and their chances in 2024. Are they still an elite team? Are they a Super Bowl contender? Or will they hit the Super Bowl hangover curse? Christian McCaffrey, he's on the Madden cover. Will that matter? Or will the Niners actually win a ring this year? Grunt, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more sweet NFL reaction videos just like this. Let's see what our guy, Jay Gruden, has to say this time, man. Let's rock. Grunt, spike the like button, and let's have some fun. Comment below your opinion on the 49ers in 2024. Do you feel like the 49ers are going to be a contender this year, or do you think they'll fall off? And let me know if you agree or disagree with the panel here on the Clean Pocket Colt McCoy Jay Gruden pod, which, guys, I'll leave the link in the description so you can support those guys, because I feel bad if I don't at least let you know that this is where the content's coming from, all right? Go, man. Let's see what they have to say. Come on, Colt. Bring me something hot, spicy.
49ers, and everybody's talking about Kyle Shanahan. Is there any truth to the narrative that Kyle can't win the big one? I mean, Jay,
I like where we're starting right here. This is BLV propaganda right off the bat. Is there any truth to Kyle Shanahan can't win the big one? Let's see what Colt has to say, but I will say this. He has won plenty of big ones. He has won basically every playoff game he has played against every team that has not been the eventual Super Bowl champion, right? When you think about it, in San Francisco, he lost to the Rams in the NFC Championship in a year where they were an underdog throughout that playoff run, right? Like, they had to go to Dallas, beat Dallas, a really good Dallas team. They had to go to Green Bay, beat Green Bay, which nobody thought they would win those games except for maybe me and a couple other people. And they lose to the Rams, which they could have won that game. They had a lead, but doesn't it just speak to, like, Shanahan's ability to coach, just the fact that he was able to get his team to that situation? And then also, you know, the other years they were favorites in the NFC, but it's not like they fell short. A lot of coaches fall short in that scenario. I mean, look at John Harbaugh. The last two times he's been in a big spot in the playoffs, a Super Bowl champion coach, considered clutch, a lot of playoff wins on his resume, oftentimes a better underdog. But as a favorite, you know, Lamar, last two times he won MVP, they failed in their scenarios to go to the Super Bowl and win. So Shanahan, yes, he's lost to Mahomes twice, Andy Reid twice, right, in the Super Bowl, and they lost to the eventual stacked LA Rams team. But really, like, is that, we're going to say he fails, he chokes? Like, I don't know, especially considering the quarterbacks he's played on the other side of those Super Bowls. So let's see what Colt has to say here.
He's been in the Super Bowl 3 times, twice as a head coach, and his losses come against the 2 best players in our generation, Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes. Like, I mean.
Thank you, Mr. Colt McCoy. Thank you. I knew I liked you, Colt. I knew I liked you. I think it's because you're a Longhorn. But, I mean, come on, man. It's Tom Brady. It's Pat Mahomes. We're arguing about these guys being the greatest quarterbacks of all time versus Jimmy Garoppolo and a young year 2 Brock Purdy. I mean, come on. Really? Like, we're going to say that this guy is not good enough to win a Super Bowl? Come on, man. Come on. I think he'll get one eventually, but we'll see what Colt has to say. Now, in terms of Brady, Mahomes, you know, like, that's just unlucky. That's just, I feel like the Niners this year, if they're going to do it, they just pray that they don't play Mahomes at this point.
What do we expect for Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers this year?
I really expect the 49ers to be the best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
Our boy Jay, always with the facts. Now, if you look at it on paper, I don't think there's a reasonable argument to suggest that any team is not the the best in the NFC except for the 49ers. When you look at, it's the same thing with the Chiefs in the AFC. Like, you have to suggest that they're at least the favorite in their conference. You can pick other teams. Like, if you like Detroit a lot, or if you like Green Bay a lot, or the Eagles a lot, that's your take. That is your fair shot and opinion, right? But in terms of favorites, you're talking about the Niners in the NFC, the Chiefs in the AFC. These two teams, especially the Chiefs, of course, with their 3 Super Bowl championships. But you look at the Niners, 4 NFC title games since 2019. Like, that is a stacked up resume that you have to respect with this core of players. And they're the same team, which I'm sure Jay Gruden is really going to talk about. So, yeah, it's unreasonable to expect them to be an elite team this year, unless they get injured, which, of course, we're not trying to project that.
They didn't lose anybody. How do you have a team like that and not really lose anybody? Key losses, I look on my sheet.
Bro, Jay Gruden is paying attention. A lot of these guys that retire, a lot of these guys that are like on podcasts, they don't even pay attention. I respect this man.
Sam Darnold, that's it. They kept everybody else in place. McCaffrey.
Okay, so let's just break this down, right? So Sam Darnold Sam Darnold gone. He's the Vikings' potential starter. Clelin Ferrell out, Randy Gregory out, Chase Young out, right? They didn't add a couple of the edge players that they did add, like Yetur Gross-Matos is not on this list, but, you know, he's pretty much in that category of the Clelin Ferrell, in my opinion, as like a 3rd or 4th edge rusher. And I also like his addition because of his potential physically, given they have one of the best defensive line coaches in the league. Leonard Floyd replaces Chase Young. Leonard Floyd, to me, is a better player, more consistent player than Chase Young. Eric Armstead replaced by Malik Collins. Some people may say that at the peak of Eric Armstead, that Armstead is better, and I would agree with that. But Armstead last year was injured, including the playoffs. He played with major injuries, so he was not the same player. Malik Collins is a very underrated player, played for the Texans last year and one of the best run defenses in football. Javon Kinlaw is, I think, a bit of a loss considering the depth of the interior D-line, but Jordan Elliott is a sneaky good player from Cleveland. You know, they didn't add a couple of the pieces that I think they should have in terms of the additions they made on defense, especially in the secondary. Isaac Yiadom from New Orleans, Rocky Sin, who played in Baltimore recently, I believe, and the Raiders. But Renardo Green, rookie, right? They had a whole draft class, and another offensive lineman was added to the mix. So yeah, I don't think they represented this very well. Sebastian Joseph Day didn't do anything. Randy Gregory was a depth player. Sam Darnold was the backup quarterback. So, I mean, it looks like they lost more than they really lost, in my opinion, just that graphic alone.
Trent Williams, Debo, Ayuk.
They lost, what, Armstead?
Kittle.
That's it?
Armstead and Kinlaw, they lost.
Kinlaw and Armstead.
Kinlaw.
Okay, but I mean,
got some good ones. I think they got Malik Collins.
Yeah,
and
so this
was
team,
a great defensive
right,
tackle.
Like,
John
every placement
Lynch
was good
deserves
players.
a lot of credit.
I like that Justin Pugh just said he's a great defensive tackle, referring to Malik Collins. Super underrated player.
This GM,
For
John
sure.
Lynch, for his ability to play with the cap. You're a cap master. Keep these good players in place. I think they better do it this year. This is a big year for them because eventually Ayuk's going to be gone. Debo's coming up.
You gotta
Trent's
pay
getting
Purdy.
a little bit older. Purdy's contract's going to come up. McCaffrey, he's reaching that running back old age.
Yeah.
I think he has a point. I think if the Niners don't win this year, or maybe next year, depending on what happens with certain contracts, I think they're going to have a little bit of a retooling period. But that being said, because of my belief in Kyle Shanahan, I think they'll be relevant even in the years that they're not a legitimate Super Bowl threat. But there's a difference between being in a Super Bowl championship window and being in a relevancy window. Their relevancy could last another decade, but the matter of decade plus, but the matter of, you know, winning a Super Bowl is a little bit different, right? So I think this year, this is the year, like, people are thinking they're going to fall off, but this could be the year they actually get it done. It could be the inverse. Like, people are sick of picking them. People are done with them. But what if this is the year that they actually get it done, right? Just consider that, considering they have the same team pretty much, as they pointed out.
Limit, you know, so this is a huge year for them to make it happen. And they can do it, obviously, with the team that they have. The receiving core is a big physical group. You mentioned Puka and Cooper Kupp as great blockers. This team has the best blocking receiving core, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Packers, too. I think the Packers receiving core is very good at blocking. Just the general Shanahan tree typically has very good blockers, McVay, etc. I would say that go check out their NFC West breakdown. They did a preview on the division. Guys, I'm just saying this for free, by the way. I'm not being paid or anything. I'm not advertising. I just like their content that I've seen from them. And they made an NFC West preview, so if you want to check that out, that's what they're referring to. This is a clip from that.
Yes.
Debo, Ayuk, and Juwan Jennings is
unbelievable.
Monster.
Unbelievable. So they don't have.
Comment in the comment section below, is Juwan Jennings the Super Bowl MVP if the Niners win?
Have a weakness on offense at all, other than the young Brock Purdy, and he obviously shown he can manage this offense and do a lot of great things, make some big plays. So moving forward, a year of experience, another year of experience for Purdy, a healthy offensive line, a defense that is still very, very talented with the Bosa and the pass rush that they have. This team should be the favorite to go back to the Super Bowl.
Right.
W. Put the W in the chat, bro. And on top of that, Brock Purdy being a weakness, I think is a little bit overblown. I don't think he's the reason that they're as successful as they are. I think there's multiple quarterbacks that could get this thing done. But I think that's demeaning to Brock Purdy to say that he is a weakness on the team. And I also think he made an important point in terms of a full offseason to actually work. So Purdy, I've said this multiple times this offseason, could be at his best. This could be the best season of his young career so far. And that could actually catapult them to the next level in where they need to be to win a Super Bowl.
They moved Nick Sorensen to defensive coordinator. Do you see that being like
big move?
Positive, negative, does it matter, right? This group that they have on defense is ridiculous. I mean, Fred Warner's a monster, leads that defense right up front.
They get the safety back who missed all last year too, right?
Hufanga. Yep. Hufanga's a big piece to me because I think he adds speed, he adds ferociousness, he adds want to the defense. Like they were missing just a game wrecker in terms of a tackler, a physical force in that secondary that would come down and be a sledgehammer and be, just go after it. Reckless abandon. They missed that element of that defense last year that I felt like they had in 2022, but they did not have in 2023. So, I think that was big.
So, I mean, they are reloading. So that they're, but you're right, as a defensive coordinator, and there's a lot of coordinators in here for the first time. They're calling plays and they're coming up with game plans on their own for the first time. Just because you work for somebody doesn't mean you're that somebody. Now you have to come up with the third down blitz plan. Yeah. Now you have to come up with the red zone plan. Now you have to come up with the first down play action plans. Now you got to call the plays on third down. Now you got to be ready. If the coach says, hey, we're going for it on fourth down. What?
I don't really know how good Nick Sorensen is going to be, but all I know is I don't think he'll really be worse than Steve Wilks. I don't think Steve Wilks did a great job. I don't think his scheme vibed with Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and company. I just don't think it was a good fit overall. It just didn't mesh. So I think Sorensen being in that building, working with the Seahawks, working with the Niners, working within this defensive scheme and tree, Robert Saleh, DeMeco Ryans, he's going to have a better feel for the overall what works and what doesn't with these players.
Oh, God. You know what I mean? Yeah. What am I going to call? Over cover three? No,
what's good on defense, they brought in Brandon Staley from the Chargers, who's going to...
Good point. Brandon Staley, I know that we don't love him as a head coach, and that's clear and obvious, but as a defensive mind, he's had some game plans. I would say he is a good game planner overall, and as a sprinkle here and there, a thought here and there, a game plan here and there, and potentially help coordinating the back end with the front end, that could be a pretty interesting element to this team that they didn't really have last year, and an advisor on defense that was also a head coach that can kind of lessen Kyle Shanahan's load so that he can be completely free for the offense. Because now you essentially have two defensive coordinators on one side of the ball.
Going to sit in that senior advisor role. So it'll be good to have someone that's been a head coach, a defensive coordinator, being there.
Those type of coaches are so important to championship teams. Like, I'm sure they're there with the Chiefs, but the Patriots had, I mean, think about all the assistant coaches they had over the years, all the advisors, the Ernie Adams, those type of guys that were so crucial to their success.
To kind of have his back. Niners are my favorite team in the NFL. If I was building a team, this is how I would build it. Put the best talent around a quarterback that's capable and just go out there and get after it. I mean, John Lynch was never a GM. He was never a scout. He was a player. I think Shanahan plays a very important role. I think he's the best head coach in the NFL.
Woo! Hot take. I definitely think that Justin is onto a huge point, which is I don't think enough people give credit to Kyle Shanahan when it comes to the front office of the 49ers. And a lot of people don't realize his contributing role there. I think he plays the most important factor in the entire operation. I think John Lynch is there as the GM in name, and I think he probably handles a lot of the defensive stuff. But in terms of the overall vision of the team, I think that is mostly influenced by Kyle Shanahan, and John Lynch is kind of like his assistant in a way. This is just the way I read it and see it with the organization and how they draft and sign players. I could be wrong, but I think Justin is correct. In terms of being the best coach in the league, I've made that argument multiple times. I have switched that back to Andy Reid, but these are the two best coaches in the league. I would say Reid obviously has the accomplishment category, the longevity, all that stuff over Kyle. But I think if you asked a lot of players in the NFL which coach would they want to play for, I think Kyle would come up just as much as any coach in the league, along with, I think, Sean McVay, Andy Reid. He's certainly in the conversation. I think he's just basically missing that Super Bowl to kind of fill that entire legacy together, because he's obviously known for his offenses. He's known for his game plans. He's known for his schemes. He's known for elevating quarterbacks. He's known for getting the most out of a run game. He's known for all these things, just not a Super Bowl, which is obviously huge. So I think it's hard to say that when we've got Andy Reid in the league, but Shanahan's pretty good.
I don't think Debo is on Week 1's roster.
Ooh.
Brandon Ayuk wants a new contract. He's the best receiver on the team. Debo is amazing, great player, but
They added Ricky Pearsall.
He's
That's your guy.
had some injury history. I think
both Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel will be 49ers in 2024. In 2025, I expect one of them to be gone. One of them. Not both, one of them. Now, that's a hot take. Debo over Ayuk being gone is pretty interesting to me. But I think where he's going is that Brandon Ayuk is actually a better, more important player to the 49ers. And I don't think I disagree because of the overlap that Debo has with McCaffrey at this point. But I think that both are important to a potential Super Bowl run this year, which is why I think the Niners won't let either of them leave this year.
Debo gets moved during training camp, and Ricky Pearsall comes in there, and he starts doing some things. I think Debo's on the move.
Ricky's a good player.
First rounder.
He's going to be a fun
kid.
guy to watch.
He's a local kid in Arizona.
Jay loves a Ricky.
Yeah, no, listen, we talk all the time. I mean, how many times did I come to you throughout the year? Check out this play from San Francisco. Look at this run game.
Yeah.
It's the best run game in all of football, and it's simple. They just do it so well. There's some eye candy, and they got arguably the best left tackle to maybe ever play the game, who you guys know very.
Trent Williams, Hall of Famer, shout out. And I think, that's big. That's an offensive lineman that watches tape saying that the Niners have the best run game in the league.
Very
Hard
well.
to argue that.
Hard to argue that. But listen, here's what they do so well. They know what they do. They don't stray from it. You got all this talent, maybe as good a receiving group in the NFL, and what do? You go out in the first round and get another weapon, right? They're just continuing to add weapons. Going to Nick Sorensen, what's interesting, I think when they had Steve Wilkes last year, they went away from the Robert Saleh. They went away from the DeMeco Ryans, upfield attacking. They played more, wide threes, get the backers in the A-gap.
W. Shipley. W. Get it, bro. This guy's got it. I thought it was just Jay, but we've got multiple.
Steve Wilkes did in Carolina. I think by getting rid of Steve Wilkes and going Nick Sorensen, they're going to get back to that attacking and that defense. In the middle of the
I think the defense is, to his point, is going to be better this year. I also think they have more depth across the board. They will be missing Dre Greenlaw early in the year, but I think, Devondre Campbell can fill in well enough early in the year.
All the way into the playoffs, there was a lot of gaps. There's a lot of holes in that defense. I think that goes away.
I love Nick Sorensen, man. I played with him when I was in Cleveland. Special teams captain. He was a special teams coordinator for a while, I think, at the Seahawks, right? And now he's calling the defense.
I think he was special teams coach, and I think he might have been secondary coach as well. I would have to check that. You guys let me know, but I'm pretty sure.
In San Francisco, I mean, he's been around the game a long time, played the game. I think he's going to be pretty good.
I would like to mention one other guy that never gets mentioned, Chris Furster. All right, he is the best line coach in football, in my opinion. I had him 1 year at Washington. My first year, he ended up leaving with contract issues and all that stuff. But this guy coaches the running game as good as anybody. The outside zones, the footwork. I know what footwork is. The ability to get up to the next level, the combination blocks. He's awesome in pass protection. He deserves a lot.
That's why I love watching the Niners. They have a certain degree of detail in the way they, especially their running game is really fun to watch. If you really like watch them, the way they block and the angles at which they attack, it's unlike any team in the league outside of possibly Miami, who obviously is heavily influenced by the same thing.
A lot of credit. He just never gets any. I just want to give a shout out to my guy.
Love Furster. Love him a lot. I learned a bunch of football from him that first year in Washington. Yep. He was great.
So NFC West, where do they rank in the division power rank?
That's a good point too. Like Gruden and McCoy both spent time with that entire tree of guys. I think Kyle was there, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think like McVay and LaFleur, like all these guys that are taking over the NFL, McDaniel, were all in that building with McCoy and Gruden, if I'm not mistaken.
They're number one in the whole NFC.
Yeah, they're number one in the
Compare them now to the AFC North. You got Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
They're the two best divisions in football.
Those are the two best.
Ooh, yeah, hands down.
Okay.
All right, Brock Purdy, higher or lower 3,900 passing yards?
Higher or lower 3,900. This is Underdog Fantasy, guys. Use the promo code BLV if you haven't signed up. 3,900. I'm going to go over. I think they're going to throw the ball quite a bit this year.
That's about 230,
It'll be close,
222 yards a game, if my calculations are correct.
Beep, beep, mathematician over here.
What are you, AI? Gruden?
I'm going higher because
Dog AI.
I think the ability that these receivers have and running back have to get yards after contact, yards after catch are unlike any other team in the league. So he could throw a 5-yard check down to Chris McCaffrey, be 30 yards. So I'm going to go higher.
Or Kittle. Flat routes to Kittle turn into
How many screens
50?
did you see at Debo, who's not as good as Ayuk, by the way, but Debo taking a...
Is that a shot? I guess Gruden saying maybe Debo's better.
5-yard under route, 45, 50 yards against the Eagles to the house.
Right.
He's not as good as Ayuk.
All right, higher or lower 28.5
This guy's low-key hilarious.
pass TDs?
I'm going to go...
Over. Higher. 30. He's going to have 30 again. He had it last year easily.
Higher.
I'm going higher on the touchdowns. I'm going to go lower on the yards. I think San Fran's going to be up in a lot of games and they're going to be handing the ball off. They're going to be
That's fair.
getting out of there. I think if he was going
I think Purdy's going to have a huge year. They just drafted another receiver, man.
to be playing in every game and they were going to be down, he's going to be throwing, I think that would be there. But again, like you said, he can dump it off to Christian McCaffrey and get those touchdowns.
I think what I would be worried about for the Niners is that I think their biggest worry is their defense overall. Like, and I like the defense, but I think the offense is elite. So like, I would just take overs.
Touchdowns, they can run those little outs to Kittle.
I'm going to say higher because I think they're going to give up some points. You mentioned their defense last year. They got rid of the defensive coordinator. And you can't blame the coach all the time, guys. You can't.
Okay, anyways, the clip is over. That's it. This was a good one. Good discussion about the 49ers, one of the premier teams in the NFL that I think sometimes people don't quite understand. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Gronk spiked the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know your thoughts on the Niners in 2024. If you want more reactions just like this, make sure to subscribe. Peace.